Being an actor in Hollywood is one of the most difficult and desired professions when coming to LA. A lot of people have sacrificed a lot to get to the top. Here are some stories of successful actors who have made it.
Antonella Salvucci is an Italian actress, a model and a TV personality that has worked all over the world thanks to her stunning looks and talent. She will prepare pasta for us today and tell us all about her career.
It's my outfit very often because I feel comfortable with something stretch, no? Elastic.
You use it for cooking?
For cooking, usually baby doll or lingerie. But you know, this time I want to be more polite.
Well, that's great. So tell me, how did the acting career began for you?
You know, it was always my dream since I was a little child. And I was the only one to attend acting lessons at my school, and they taught me, for instance, how to fall down to the floor and not get hurt. So if you do on the side, it's better. There is a method for everything. If you know the trick, if you know the secret, everything is gonna be easier. And but you know, to tell to my parents was a nightmare because they are very traditional. My mother is a teacher of Italian in the school. My father used to go on mission on the boats to try to find the crooks on the sea, you know, for illegal traffic. So totally different situation. I didn't know how to start, so I started as a model. Modeling is always something fun for me. I feel familiar with that. I feel good and comfortable in front of the camera. But I was not satisfied just being a model because, you know, I like to talk. I'm so social and always positive. I wanted to express more with communication. So I started to host for television, live events, especially dedicated to the cinema.
When did you come to LA for the first time?
Oh, for the first time, you know, I have an interesting story. I came because I became a good friend of John Philip Lowe, the great actor who played most of the Dino De Laurentiis production and movies, just like Diabolic or Barbarella. Actually, he was the angel in Barbarella, carrying the beautiful Jane Fonda on his arms. And so he told me, when you want to come to LA, you're gonna be to my place. And so I used to come during the summertime to attend master class of acting with international people, international actors from all over the world. And I was guest at his place. In the meantime, every time he came to Rome, he used to come to Rome, he was guest at my parents' place. So there was this exchange. And so I came to LA from the main door because he used to bring me to Dino De Laurentiis' office. So I'm always in touch with Marta. She's a lovely woman and a lovely producer. And so get to know a living legend like Dino De Laurentiis was such a kind of emotion that I cannot even express in front of my eyes. And then we went to the Playboy Mansion, and then we went to the most important premieres of cinema everywhere. And then I was studying in the acting school. I was bringing him with me sometimes in the first row to attend, and I used to rehearse with him too. So it was incredible, everything. I have such a great memories. And for me, LA was, since the beginning, familiar.
And how do you combine Italy and Los Angeles these days?
Yeah.
Actually, not only Italy, the entire Europe, because you film in Europe as well.
Yeah, in Europe, because I do work not just in Rome or Milan, but also in London. Everywhere. Nowadays it's so easy. 12 hours straight, you know, you are to the other side of the world. Now actually I have to go back for the voiceover in Italian of a movie I shot in English, and is The Poison Rose with John Travolta and Morgan Freeman. Mainly they shot here in LA and just 1 week in Rome. And I have a cameo, very interesting, and so I'm gonna be back also for that.
Do you have someone following me?
We got you on GPS. Why would we have someone following you?
It's not you. Who is it?
Oh shit, get out of there. Your cover's blown.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity in playing the role of Claudia Cardinale in a movie called Frank and Ava, The Voice and the Diva, regarding the love affair between Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra. And with Eric Roberts, he played the role of President of Colombia. I was Claudia Cardinale. We shot it in Rome, actually. It was great. And so actors like them, they inspired me a lot, but also Marilyn Monroe, because I don't know, she was the woman, the lady, feminine, sensual. And people, they go to the cinema because they need to dream. I'm making simple spaghetti with tomato sauce, not too spicy, but just a little. And but you know, because many people think spaghetti pasta gonna put me on weight, no? But it's not true.
It's not true for you.
No. Serotonin first to relax, even at night, is good, and it's the healthiest thing. Eating pasta instead of some other things, all mixed. I walk, and I enjoy it. But usually you go without any relief, and you know, the genetic is too good to me. You have to say thank you to my mama, to Papa. Love you guys. You did a great job.
Maybe the genetics as well. You have something that's very popular today is obviously social media.
Oh yes.
And you are loved on social media, and you have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel, and how does it help your work?
Right. If you use it wisely, I have to say, you can have some good offer. And I wasn't using Instagram too much since a girlfriend of mine in LA, she's Italian, but she's a stylist, she told me all of a sudden, I'm very upset to you. I said, what happened? Because you are not using Instagram, you are not taking care of Instagram. She said that this is, for us, is a digital Bible. You have to do that. You have to use it. So since that moment on, it would be almost 2 years ago, I started to use it, and I found for myself some advantages in that. Ecco, we are ready, amici! Ha ha ha!
Nice!
Grazie a voi, un bacio. Mua.
Ann Turkel is an actress and a model who has worked all over the world and who has photographed for the American Vogue in the late 60s for the first time, and has worked with some of the biggest names in the fashion industry. For 8 years, Ann was married to legendary Irish actor Richard Harris, who in the last few years of his life was known as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter films.
We have the pleasure today of having on Cinema Confidential a very wonderful and interesting lady, Ann Turkel. I can't wait to hear all of your stories. Welcome.
Then we'd be here a very long time.
Well, let's start from the beginning. I always am very curious to know how people enter show business.
I started off since I was a little girl, dancing and singing and acting and taking classes all the time. And then I was singing in my high school rock band when I was at Boston University, and it was for a fashion show for an English company. And afterwards, an editor for Vogue came up to me and she said, "Do you ever think of modeling?" And I thought I was so unattractive because I never went out in high school or anything. So I said no. So she said, "Here's my card. Come in and meet Diana Vreeland tomorrow." And Diana Vreeland is a huge icon, more so than Anna Wintour. So I started working for Vogue like 2 weeks later, and working for Richard Avedon and Irving Penn and Helmut Newton. Anyway, then I started living in Europe, modeling for Vogue all around there, and flying back and forth to New York. And a woman who was a friend of my boyfriend's in London worked for ICM, and she said, they are recasting a movie in Hollywood at 20th Century Fox with John Frankenheimer. And he did Birdman of Alcatraz, a Manchurian Candidate, and great, great director.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, and it starred, she says, Richard Harris, who I had a crush on when my parents took me like a decade and a half earlier to see Camelot. Mm-hmm. So Jackie Bissett was supposed to do it, but for some personal reasons, she had to back out. So I went there, screen tested, flew back to London. I got it. Richard thought I was only a model. He didn't know that I had acted or sang or danced or anything. And he said, I don't want to model in this film.
That's how you guys actually met?
So we met on the movie.
Yeah.
And I got nominated for a Golden Globe and married Richard Harris.
That's the short version
That's
of a
the
very
short
long
version.
story.
I have like 131 love letters that are like better than Keats or Byron for sure. I mean, what are the odds that you have a crush on somebody a decade and a half earlier, and you star in a movie with them, and you get married? We never fooled around except, kissing, that's it, during the whole entire movie. And after it was all over, it was the first night we spent together, and I went downstairs and sat on the beach because he had rented a house on Pacific Coast Highway. And I was just sitting there, and he eventually came out and sat on the beach and said, I wonder what our children would look like. And I said, I don't know. I mean, I was a kid. I don't know. And he just turned and said, will you marry me? After one night together.
Okay, I have goosebumps. Sorry. My God.
And that's when, after that, he disappeared, and I looked all through the house. I couldn't find him. And then finally, there was like some little door, and I opened it, and it was like a little room. And there were thousands of pieces of paper all over the place. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm trying to write a letter to your parents asking for your hand in marriage. And there were like all these times that he tried to write something, but he kind of put a bunch of them together and said, pick out which one you think is best, but it's very funny. Got married less than a year later, and we eloped. We were going to have a wedding. And then one night, as we were promoting the movie here that we had done, Richard said, let's just elope. So At 7 in the morning, he had a limousine, and the only flowers he could find were big white mums. And I had a white t-shirt on, white jeans, white sandals. He had jacket and shirt on. I put a little white flower in his lapel.
How did your mom react then? How did your mother react that you got eloped?
Well, I mean, they gave a great party when we came to New York to promote the movie, and she invited everybody. And Oscar de la Renta made a special dress for me. So it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, I guess it's nice when Oscar de la Renta does a special dress for you. How did your life together begin as a family? How did that reflect on your career as well?
I can't say mine took a back seat. We did 4 movies together and shot Samson and Delilah for NBC, which won an award, and Richard was somewhere else shooting something, and then I flew to him. And then I was with him when he was shooting Return of a Man Called Horse, because The Man Called Horse was very famous. And I didn't want to be a set wife, you know, where you sit around, and so I took up photography. And the cinematographer on the movie was Owen Roisman, who was an Academy Award cinematographer. And the director, or Kirshner, taught photography, you know, at universities and stuff in between. So they taught me everything. Every day was a different lesson. I was taking so many photographs. And then I joined this agency, Sigma, and the first picture I sold was to Time magazine.
How difficult was it for both of you to combine family life and careers?
Easy, just one bled into the other. It just bled into the other. We were always kind of in the public eye at that time. At that time, there were a lot of husband and wife teams. Mm-hmm. There was Jill Ireland and Charles Bronson. And then, of course, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. But there were a lot of couples, you know, at that time. Really not so much now that I noticed. So everything was different when you'd go to land in an airport. You'd have everybody, you know, the press there taking pictures of you, and they'd end up in all the papers around the world. So they were always nice things. We would walk off smiling and happy and everything, which we were. And now, I mean, I would be terrified with all the multimedia that's out there. Oh my God.
The Instagram, the
Facebook. Twitter. Oh God, I would die.
To burn. To burn! What am I to wear? I have no others.
You said you were going anywhere.
I'll go where I like.
This is far more appropriate attire for a gentleman.
My favorite thing that I ever did?
There we go.
Okay. Highlander, the series. Mm-hmm. And I love that series so much.
Me too.
And I kept running into the producer, the executive producer, and I kept saying, you've got to put me on this show, you've got to put me on this show. And after about 4 years, they finally came up with this great script and gave it to me. But I was an immortal, and I don't know if you know the thing with Highlander. If you cut the person's head off, it's a quickening, and that person can never come back to life, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you shoot them or stab them, they're fine. Anyway, so I said, don't kill me off. You don't understand. You're going to have the most emails that you've ever gotten for a show. You're going to have the highest ratings you've ever gotten for a show. And they're thinking, I'm out of my mind. What happened? Most emails they've ever gotten for a show. Highest ratings they've ever gotten for a show. All my projects are unique. I've got 10. And one I'm working on right now, I've got a box of greeting cards that are already printed out, and getting the greeting card line, you know, set up somewhere.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us. you.